All right, I want you to do something for me. Just for a second, close your eyes. Unless you're driving. Please don't close your eyes if you're driving. But if you can, picture a graded Pokemon card in your head. Just summon that image.
It's a pretty specific image, isn't it?
It is. You've got the card itself, maybe a Charizard, maybe a Pikachu, sitting inside that rectangular plastic brick. The slab, you've got the label at the top, the grade big bold 10 if you're lucky, and that barcode or certification number.
The standard setup. We've all seen it a million times. It's almost iconic at this point.
Exactly. Now, if I walked up to you on the street and asked, hey, what is that plastic case for? What would you say?
Well, the practical answer is protection. It's armor. It's, to make sure the card is authentic.
Right.
You put the card in there so you don't spill coffee on it and so you can prove it's real. It's basically a fancy Tupperware container that adds value.
Right. It's a utility. It's graded plastic. That's how I've always seen it. It's just the wrapper for the candy bar. But, and this is why I've been obsessively reading through this stack of research you sent over, that definition is apparently about to become a dinosaur.
It is. And it's going to happen faster than people think. The foundations are already being laid.
We are talking about a total shift in what this object is. The research suggests we are moving from seeing slabs as just protective containers to seeing them as unique, identity-bearing objects.
That's the core thesis. That's the whole ball game right there. We need to stop thinking of the slag as a wrapper. In the next few years, the slab becomes a sophisticated data object. It stops being the packaging and starts being the identity itself.
That sounds heavy. Identity-bearing object. Sounds like something out of a cyberpunk novel.
It feels a bit sci-fi, but the economics behind it are very, very real. We're tracking the evolution of Pokenomics, the economics of Pokemon cards, from where we are now through the late 2020s all the way to 2040.
And we're not just talking about price guides here. We're looking at future market structures, grading technology that uses AI, something called the meaning economy, and how we get from a piece of plastic to a cryptographic culture artifact.
It's a wild ride. But to understand where we're going, we have to look at how limited the current system actually is.
So let's paint the before picture. We're in the mid-2020s right now. I buy a slab. What do I actually have?
You have a physical object. It has a grade, a cert number, and a brand name like PSA, CGC, or ACE. It authenticates the card, sure. It gives it a grade. But think about the history of that specific object, the provenance. How much do you actually know about it?
I mean, usually nothing. I know I bought it on eBay from Card Guy 123.
Right. And where did Card Guy 123 get it?
Probably a card show. Or he graded it himself. Have no idea.
Maybe. But can you prove it?
No, not at all.
That's the problem. Provenance today is primitive. It's screenshots. It's forum posts from 5 years ago. It's stories like, oh yeah, trust me, this was owned by a big collector. It's all verbal. It's disconnected from the object itself.
That's trust me, bro economics.
Precisely. The data isn't sticking to the object. But if we look at the projections for 2027 and beyond, the slab transforms. It still looks like a slab, but inside that plastic, embedded in the casing, is a chip.
Like an RFID chip.
Yeah.
Or NFC.
Exactly. A secure cryptographic chip. And that chip gives the slab a unique digital identity that cannot be cloned.
Okay, so it's like a super barcode.
It's more than a barcode. A barcode just reads a number. This chip links to a dynamic digital ledger. It records a movement history, a provenance log. It tracks where the card has been, who has held it, and generates a trust score.
The sources used an analogy that really helped this click for me. They compared it to a VIN number on a car.
It's the best way to understand it. Think about buying a used car. You don't just kick the tires and say, shiny paint, looks good.
No, you check the Carfax. You run the VIN.
You want to know the story. Was it in a flood? Was it a rental fleet vehicle? Was it owned by a little old lady who only drove it to church? That history is attached to the chassis of the car forever.
Or like the IMEI number on a smartphone.
Yes. The device has an identity separate from the user. And this leads to a massive implication that I don't think collectors are ready for. It completely changes the game of cracking slabs.
Oh, man. Cracking slabs. That is such a huge part of the hobby right now.
It is. It's a whole cottage industry.
For the listener who doesn't spend their weekends hunching over plastic with pliers, cracking is when you buy a graded card, say a PSA 8, and you think, the grader was wrong. This looks like a 9. So you break the case, take the card out, and send it back in as if it's brand new, hoping for a better grade.
The regrade game. It's basically arbitrage. You're betting your eye is better than the graders. You're trying to find an inefficiency in the system.
But in this future scenario, If the identity is in the slab,
If you crack the slab, you are killing the VIN.
you're wiping the memory.
You are severing the link to the provenance history. Let's say you have a card that was scanned at the World Championships in 2029. That event is logged on the chip. If you crack that slab to try for a better grade, you destroy that history. You are effectively resetting the asset's life back to zero.
So even if I get the higher grade, I might have lost value.
You turned a meaning artifact with a rich history back into a raw piece of cardboard with amnesia. For high-end cards, cracking becomes economically irrational. Why would you destroy a verifiable history for a chance at a slightly higher number?
That is a total 180. Right now, the card is king. The plastic is just disposable packaging. You're saying the packaging becomes the vessel for the value.
The card is the art, but the slab is the ledger. And in a high-trust market, the ledger is what you pay for. The certainty is what you pay for.
That's going to upset a lot of people who love the gamble of regrading.
Markets usually mature away from gambling and towards stability. This is that maturation. It's growing up.
Okay, so if the slab is this permanent vault for data, we have to talk about how the grade gets on there in the first place.
Yeah.
Because right now, grading feels, well, let's be honest, it feels a little like a lottery.
A little.
Okay, a lot. I'll look at a 10. I'll look at a 9. Sometimes the 9 looks better. I send the same card to 3 different companies. I get 3 different grades. It feels subjective.
It is subjective. And that brings us to the next major shift in the research, the bifurcation of grading.
Bifurcation. That's a $10 word.
It just means splitting into two branches, separating two things that are currently mushed together.
Okay, break that down. What's splitting?
The grading process itself. Right now, companies try to mash everything into one number. A 10 is supposed to represent the corners, the edges, the surface, the centering, and the overall vibe.
And the sources say this is going to split into measurement and interpretation.
Correct. Layer A is measurement, and this is where the robots come in.
This is the objective stuff, the hard data.
Purely objective. We're seeing the early stages of this now, but by the late 2020s, this will be handled almost exclusively by AI and computer vision.
So what are they measuring?
Everything. Centering tolerances measured to the micron, not just looks centered, but 50.01% on the left, 49.99% on the right. Edge wear mapping. Surface scratch, depth analysis finding, micro scratches the human eye can't even see, print defect classification, even hollow pattern anomalies. The machine can compare a hollow foil to a perfect digital master and map every single deviation.
So there's no arguing with it. You can't say, I think this is a 10 if the computer says there is a 4-micron scratch on the hollow.
Exactly. It becomes standardized, it becomes auditable, and here's the kicker, it becomes comparable across different companies.
What do you mean by that?
Well, 50-50 centering is 50-50 centering, whether it's PSA measuring it or CGC measuring it. Math is math. A 4-micron scratch is a 4-micron scratch, so the measurement layer becomes a universal language.
Okay, so you get this printout of stats, but we don't collect math. We collect Pokemon cards. There's a soul to it.
And that is layer B interpretation.
The human element.
The subjective layer. This is where the human expert still reigns supreme. This covers eye appeal, print character, era norms.
Era norms. What do you mean by that?
Think about vintage cards. A card from 1999, especially from the WOTC era, might have print lines that were just part of the manufacturing process back then. A computer might see that and say, defect, defect.
Right, it's a flaw in the print.
But a human expert says, no, for this specific set, that's normal. It doesn't detract from the beauty. It's part of the card's character. Or think about centering on some old sets. They were notoriously off-center. A human knows that and grades it on a curve, so to speak.
Right. Or sometimes a card is technically flawed. Maybe the centering is a bit off. But the colors are so vibrant and the surface is so clean that it just pops. It has eye appeal.
Exactly. The human grader answers the question, does this look clean for a 7? Is this a beautiful card? It's the holistic judgment.
So why split them? Why not just keep mashing them together like we do now?
Because separating them builds trust. Right now, grading companies pretend to be purely objective, but we all catch them being subjective. By explicitly exposing what is measured, the math, versus what is interpreted, the art, they stop gaslighting us.
They say, here are the stats, and here is our opinion.
Yes. It's like buying a diamond. You have the cut, color, clarity and carat weight. That's the math from the GIA report. And then you have the jeweler's assessment of how it looks in the ring, its fire, its brilliance. You need both.
That makes so much sense. It actually feels more honest.
It is more honest, and this leads to a convergence in the industry. It changes the competitive landscape completely.
The sources mention this, and I found it really interesting. There's always this fear that one company, usually PSA, is just going to eat everyone else and become a monopoly.
The research suggests that won't happen. Instead, you get convergence on standards, but differentiation on brand. It's a much healthier ecosystem.
How does that work?
Well, once everyone agrees on the math, once the measurement layer is standardized, companies have to pivot. They can't compete on we grade harder or our 10 is better. They have to compete on culture.
So they pick lanes. They specialize.
Precisely. PSA remains the conservative legacy benchmark. They are the blue chip stock exchange. You go to PSA for maximum liquidity and deep history. It's the S&P 500 of grading.
Okay, that tracks. What about a company like CGC?
CGC has always been more technical. They lean into that. They become the data-forward, population-heavy option. They are for the analysts, the people who want the subgrades, the detailed population reports, the deep data dives.
The quants of the Pokemon world.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the newcomers, like ACE grading in the UK.
Right.
ACE isn't trying to be the stock exchange. They are trying to be the art gallery. They have color-matched labels, custom designs, are about the aesthetic and the collector culture. They're selling presentation and curation.
I love that distinction, the stock exchange versus the art gallery.
And that differentiation ends the great inflation wars.
Yeah.
You stop fighting over whether a 9.5 at one company is a 10 at another because the underlying math is public. Instead, you choose the slab that fits your collecting goal.
Do you want the prestigious legacy slab, the data-rich slab, or the beautiful display slab?
It becomes a matter of taste, not just a matter of maximizing ROI. And it allows for niche and regional players to thrive by serving specific communities really well.
Which honestly sounds a lot healthier for the hobby. It feels less like a zero-sum game.
It's a sign of a mature market. Immature markets fight over definitions. Mature markets fight over brand and culture.
Okay, I want to pivot back to the tech for a minute. We talked about the chip and the slab, but the sources use this really intense phrase, technology as the immune system.
Yes, this is where we get into phase space closure.
Whoa, hold on. Phase space closure. That sounds like something from Star Trek. Can we ground that? What does that actually mean for a guy trying to sell a fake card on eBay?
Fair point. It sounds abstract, but it's actually a concept from game theory and physics. Think of phase space as the possibility space. It's the amount of room available for a scammer to operate.
Okay, the room to maneuver, the number of angles to play.
Right now, pre-RFID, that room is the size of a football field. It's huge. Counterfeit slabs propagate faster than we can detect them. We rely on external trust forums, reputation, vibes.
Hey guys, does the font on this label look weird to you? Or the frosting on the edges seems a little off?
Exactly. You're squinting at a JPEG on a screen. That is a massive informational gap. Scammers live in that gap. They thrive on ambiguity.
So how does the chip close the room?
In a post-RFID world, every slab has a unique cryptographic fingerprint. When you scan it with your phone, that scan is logged in a global, decentralized ledger.
Quick.
So imagine a scammer makes a perfect physical replica of a PSA 10 Charizard slab. They copy the label, they copy the number, but they can't copy the encrypted chip.
So when I scan it with my phone,
It doesn't ping. The network says ID not found. Or let's say they're more sophisticated and they manage to clone a chip's ID. The moment they do, the system sees that ID being scanned in two places at once.
if the real slab is in a vault in London, and I'm scanning a slab with the same ID in New York,
The system knows instantly. A red flag goes up. One or both are fake. The phase space, the room for the scammer to hide, collapses from a football field to a phone booth.
so it's like a game of whack-a-mole, where the board keeps getting smaller and smaller.
And critically, it doesn't magically eliminate all fraud people are creative, but it raises the cost of fraud above profitability.
Right. If you have to be a master hacker and spend thousands of dollars to fake a $50 card,
You aren't going to do it. It's not worth the effort. It eliminates the ghost populations, those fake slabs floating around that nobody knows are fake, which artificially inflate the number of high-grade cards out there.
and this leads to the mesh network concept. This is another one where I had to stop and reread. It sounds like we're building a decentralized internet or something.
In a way, we are, but focused on authentication. The shift here is away from centralization. Currently, verification is go to PSA's website and type in the number. That's a hub-and-spoke model. PSA is the single source of truth.
And if their website is down or their database is wrong?
This system breaks. The future is mesh authentication.
Yes. Everyone is a scanner. Wait, everyone. Like me. I'm working for PSA now.
You're working for the network, for the community. Think about a card show in 2030. Vendors have scanners built into their tables. Collectors have apps on their phones that can scan these chips. The entry point to the show has a scanner.
So as a slab moves through the room.
It's getting pinged. From a vendor's case to your backpack to a trade night table to a vault, it's leaving a constant digital breadcrumb trail.
The constant pings.
And each scan does three things. It verifies the item is real, it strengthens the network by adding another data point, and it updates that item's trust score.
So a card creates a digital trail just by moving around and being part of the community.
And the key insight here is, no single party controls trust. Trust emerges from repetition, from the network itself. A card that has been scanned at 10 different major shows by 50 different collectors has a massive trust score. It's been seen, it's been verified, it's real.
Versus a card that hasn't been seen in 10 years. A card that just appears out of nowhere.
That silence becomes suspicious. Why hasn't it been on the network? Was it lost? Was it cracked? Was it faked? The absence of data becomes data itself.
Okay, stop. I can hear the privacy advocate screaming right now. I can hear myself screaming. I don't want people tracking my collection. I don't want a map of where I live generated by my Charizard.
It's a very, very valid concern. If the system doxes everyone, nobody will use it. It would be dead on arrival.
Exactly. I don't want someone knowing I have $50,000 worth of cardboard in my house. That's a huge security risk.
And the sources outline a specific, very clever solution. The 3 layers of privacy. This uses something called zero-knowledge proofs.
Zero knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, ELI 5 time again. Explain it like I'm 5.
It's a way of proving, something without revealing the thing itself. The classic example is proving, the password to a secret cave without actually saying the password. You can do it by showing you can get inside.
Okay, so you prove ownership without revealing who you are. How does that apply here?
Layer A is the public integrity log. This is completely anonymous. It proves the slab is real, and the history is continuous. It just says, Slab X moved from a verified vendor to a private wallet. It doesn't say, to Steve in Ohio.
Okay, so the public just sees movement, transaction verified.
Right. That's all the public needs to see to trust the object. Then, layer B is the private owner layer. This lives in your private vault app on your phone. This is where your insurance docs, your personal notes, and your proof of ownership live. Only you can see this.
So that's my secure personal view of my collection?
Exactly. And then there's layer C. This is the interesting one. Layer C is opt-in public provenance.
The flex layer.
Precisely. Let's take a scenario. Imagine a massive influencer, let's say. A big name like Logic or Logan Paul.
Okay, love or hate them, those guys move markets.
They buy a super rare Illustrator Pikachu. Now, if they want to keep it private, they stay in layer B. No one knows they own it. But usually people like that want the world to know.
Yeah, they're wearing it around their neck in the wrestling ring.
So they go into their app, and for that one slab, they toggle on layer C. Now, the public ledger says, owned by Logan Paul.
And why would they do that? Aside from ego.
Because it adds value. If he sells that card in 5 years, the fact that he owned it and that it was worn at WrestleMania is now a verifiable part of the value. He is writing his fame into the card's digital DNA. It's provenance creation in real time.
Ah, I see. But for me, regular guy Steve, I keep layer C turned off for all my cards.
Correct. You keep your privacy, but you still get the benefit of the authenticated history from layer A.
So you toggle the fame on and off. That's smart.
It resolves the tension between, I want provenance and I don't want to be robbed.
This moves us naturally into the next big topic, provenance and liquidity. Because once you have this tracking, the history of the card becomes structural, not just a story.
Right now, provenance is mostly storytelling. Oh, I bought this from a guy who got it from a booster box break in 2018.
Trust me, bro, we're back to that.
It's cosmetic. It's flavor text. Future provenance is an append-only event log. Let's walk through a hypothetical timeline of a single slab. Let's call it Slab ID X.
Okay, Slab X, let's give it a life.
Created in March 2027 at PSA. Logged.
Okay, that's its birth.
September 2028, it gets scanned at the London Card Show. Maybe it's in a vendor's case. Logged.
It's traveling. It has a passport now.
January 2029, it's sold peer-to-peer. Ownership transfers digitally between 2 anonymous wallets. Logged.
No eBay.
We'll get to that. Then in 2031, it enters a secure vault like PWCC, logged. And in 2033, it's checked out to be exhibited at a pop culture museum, logged.
That is a rich life history, verifiable.
And here is the second order effect.
Okay.
Imagine you have two PSA 10 Charizards, identical condition, identical grade.
Okay. The Holy Grail.
Card A has the history we just described. It's been to London, it's been in a museum, maybe it was owned by a known collector who opted into layer C for a while. Card B has been in a shoebox in a basement for 10 years with 0 scans.
Card A is worth more,
Significantly more.
even though the card inside is arguably the same.
Yes. This mirrors the fine art market. If you have two identical Andy Warhol prints, but one was owned by a nobody and sat in a drawer, and the other was part of the Rockefeller collection and exhibited at the Louvre, which one do you want?
The museum one. It has cultural weight. It has a story.
Exactly. The life of the asset becomes a value multiplier. We don't see this yet in Pokemon because the data isn't there, but once the data is there, the market will price it in. It's inevitable.
And this changes how we trade, right? If the slab holds its own identity and trust, do I really need a middleman?
This is the rise of P2P trading dominance.
Peer-to-peer.
Think about why we use eBay or TCG Player today. What service are they providing?
Well, to find the card. And to make sure I don't get ripped off. I pay eBay, eBay holds the money, the seller ships, eBay protects me if it's a fake.
It's about trust and escrow. But if trust is embedded in the slab via the chip and trust is ambient in the network?
I don't need eBay to tell me the card is real. My
Yeah.
phone tells me it's real.
No. We can stand in a hotel lobby at a card show. I tap my phone to your slab. The network says verified. You send the funds via a smart contract. The ownership transfers on the ledger instantly. I hand you the plastic. Done.
Settlement is instant. No 13% fees.
Not for the verification part. The friction disappears. The cost of trust plummets.
So what happens to eBay? What happens to the big marketplaces? Do they just die?
They shift. They evolve. They stop being gatekeepers and start being service providers. They focus on discovery, helping you find the card in the first place.
Because I can't scan a card if I don't know who has it.
Exactly. They become search engines for physical objects. They focus on escrow, logistics, and dispute resolution. They become the rails, not the guards. They handle the shipping and the insurance, not the basic trust.
And the vendors. The guys at the card shows with the glass cases. I've noticed something weird about them lately.
What's that?
Well, I was at a show last weekend, and I watched this vendor sell a bunch of mid-range stuff, getting cash. And then 10 minutes later, I saw him take that giant wad of cash and dump it all onto another table to buy one massive card. A grail.
Yes, you spotted it. That's the shift happening in real time.
It felt weird. I thought, aren't you guys supposed to be making a profit? Why are you getting rid of the cash?
They are evolving into meaning routers or liquidity transformers.
Naming routers. Okay, explain that.
They are taking cash, which is high liquidity but has zero meaning, and converting it into inventory, which has lower liquidity but extremely high meaning.
Cash is trash. Cardboard is gold.
In this context, yes. Think of it like this. You have $10,000 in cash. Inflation eats that away. It's just paper. It has no soul. But if you trade that $10,000 for a first edition base set Blastoise, that card has gravity, it has history, it has cultural resonance.
It's the harder asset.
In the meaning economy, the Blastoise is the superior store of wealth. The vendor isn't spending money. They are parking their wealth in a vessel that culture actually cares about. They are trading speed, cash, for density,
Meaning density. I like that term. It sounds like physics again.
It is. They are compressing their profit into the densest possible cultural object they can find.
This brings us to the core philosophy of this whole deep dive, the meaning economy. Why culture wins.
This is the crux of the argument. As technology improves, we get what the sources call information unification.
Meaning we all know the price. There are no secrets anymore.
We all know the price, we all know the population count, we all know the grading standards. Information closes the gaps. All the inefficiencies that traders use to exploit, they evaporate.
I used to be able to go to a yard sale and find a mom who didn't know what she had. That's getting harder and harder.
It's almost impossible now. Everyone has a phone. Everyone checks eBay sold listings. Fake scarcity is dead. Grading arbitrage is dying. You can't trick someone into thinking a card is rare when the database proves it isn't.
This is the easy money, the I know something you don't, money disappears.
Exactly. Information arbitrage dies. But meaning stays open.
Because you can't standardize nostalgia.
You cannot standardize taste. You cannot standardize identity. You cannot standardize emotional readiness.
Emotional readiness. What do you mean by that?
Think about the generational cycle. A 30-year-old wanting to buy back their childhood is a predictable force, but you can't put it on a spreadsheet. You can't know the day that someone wakes up and says, "Today's the day I'm finally buying that Lugia I could never afford as a kid." You have to feel it.
So the profit edge shifts from, I know a price you don't, to, I understand people better than you.
It's deep. But that's exactly it. It's cultural arbitrage.
It's the shift from scalping to curation.
Yes. Think about the sneaker market or fine wine. Scalping is just exploiting a lack of supply. It's, I bought all the tickets, now you have to pay me. Everyone hates the scalper. It's a low-level game.
But the curator,
The curator says this specific Japanese promo card from 1998 is undervalued because the artist is significant and it connects to this specific moment in the anime. They build a narrative, they educate,
and people pay for the narrative.
they pay for the meaning. They're buying into a story, not just a commodity.
This explains why the market doesn't just crash to zero when the hype dies down. The sources talk about a meaning buffer.
Think about crypto. Many altcoins go to zero. Why?
Because they have no utility. The only reason to hold them is hoping the price goes up.
Right. If the price goes down, utility is zero. Panic sell, everyone out. It's a race to the exit.
But in Pokemon,
If the price of a Charizard drops 20%, do you burn it?
no. I put it in my binder and look at it.
Yeah.
I still love the art. It still reminds me of being 10 years old.
Exactly. The meaning holders, the collectors, don't panic sell because the value is emotional and identity-based, not just financial. This creates a floor, a buffer. It absorbs volatility.
It creates anti-fragility.
Yes. When speculators and scalpers flee during a downturn, the market actually strengthens. Why? Because the inventory returns to the hands of the people who actually care about it. The weak hands leave. The strong hands accumulate.
And the life cycle of the collector reinforces this. I love this point in the notes. We tend to think of people leaving the hobby as a bad thing. Oh no, he sold his collection.
But it's actually the engine of liquidity. Someone buys as a kid, they drift away as a teen. That's natural. They return as an adult with money, the nostalgia wave.
Maybe they sell to buy a house or raise a family.
The liquidity event. And who buys it? The next generation coming up. Or the investor who sees the cultural value, then their kids get into it and they return as a mentor.
It's a pulse, in, out, return. It's a living system.
And that pulse creates stability. If everyone held forever, there would be no liquidity, you couldn't buy anything. If everyone flipped constantly, there would be no stability. The mix is what makes it work.
Okay, we're getting towards the end here, and I want to talk about the weird future. The emergent behaviors that listeners might not be ready for. The sources listed some really specific, slightly strange predictions that come out of this new system.
These are the mechanics that emerge when you combine high-tech tracking with high-emotion collecting. It gets interesting.
First one, trust premiums.
Simple enough. Cards with clean, continuous scan histories will trade higher and faster. If you have two cards and one has a verified timeline and the other doesn't, you pay more for the timeline. It's buying certainty.
Which leads to the scan silence penalty.
This is the flip side. A slab that hasn't been seen or scanned in years raises suspicion. Or at least it raises questions that need to be answered before a big transaction.
Man, that is honestly kind of creepy. It's like an interrogation for a piece of cardboard. Where were you on the night of 2034? Are we sure collectors actually want this level of surveillance on their hobby?
It definitely feels dystopian if you look at it that way. But think about the art world again. If a Da Vinci painting disappears for 20 years and then suddenly shows up at auction, what's the first question?
Is it real? Where was it?
Prove its journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Silence is a cost.
Yeah.
Radical transparency becomes the norm for high-value assets.
Then there's identity lock-in.
Resistance to cracking slabs. We touched on this. It becomes a taboo for culturally significant cards.
Right. If the value is in the provenance history, cracking destroys the value. So we might see a world where a beautiful 8 with history is worth more than a sterile 10.
Meaning overgrading.
Yeah.
I'd take the PSA 8 that was owned by a legend over the PSA 10 that just came back from a bulk submission yesterday, any day of the week.
The story beats the stats.
Always. Every time.
And finally, vendor reputation compounding. This one is cool.
Vendors as trust amplifiers.
If a slab passes through the hands of a legendary high-trust vendor, that event is logged. It's like a stamp of approval, sold by PWCC or curated by TCA Gaming. That adds value forever. It becomes part of the card's pedigree.
It's like having a pedigree, like a prized racehorse.
It is. The vendor isn't just a reseller, they are a certifier of cool, a validator of meaning.
And on the flip side, soft blacklisting.
Unscannable slabs, or slabs with gaps in their history, just quietly lose liquidity. No drama, no ban lists. They just stop moving because nobody wants the risk. The market just routes around them.
It's a self-cleaning ecosystem.
It is. The bad actors get priced out by inefficiency.
So let's bring this all home. So what? We've talked about chips, AI, meaning buffers, and cultural arbitrage.
Yeah.
What is the big takeaway for the listener who is just sitting there looking at their binder right now?
The synthesis is this. We are watching the birth of a meaning economy. This market operates on passion, identity, and memory, not just spreadsheets.
It's finance, but with a soul.
And here's the critical thing to remember. Even with perfect tech, even with RFID, AI, decentralized ledgers, all of it, you cannot standardize taste or nostalgia. You can't put an algorithm on love.
Meaning remains orthogonal to infrastructure.
Beautifully put. The tech builds the rails, but the culture drives the train. The infrastructure makes it safe, liquid, and trusted, but the value comes from the human heart.
And it creates this democratized asset class.
It does. A poor collector can hold cultural capital. A rare card they pulled as a kid that they've held onto for 20 years that a rich collector wants. The only thing separating them is time and meaning. It equalizes the playing field in a way that stocks or real estate never can.
I want to leave everyone with a final provocative thought, something that was lurking in the margins of the research.
Go for it.
We've been talking about Pokemon cards as meaning artifacts, vessels for memory and identity protected by a cryptographic ledger.
Right.
Are we just looking at Pokemon cards, or are we looking at the future of all finance? A future where culture itself is the ultimate currency.
That is the big question. If a plastic slab can hold a soul, what else can?
Something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure. This stuff is fascinating.
We'll catch you on the next one. Keep collecting what you love.